What's up, Facebook family and those watching on replay? I just wanted to shoot this quick little interview, um, talking a little bit about a common problem, what I would consider pretty much an epidemic um, that is completely mislabeled, mismanaged, and using what better way than to use a case study of somebody who's been dealing with anxiety and panic attacks, and it's been getting to the point where it has taken over her whole life. When she reached out to me, things were not in a great space, and she's just recently graduated from my program, and so I really wanted to share Kayla's journey with you. Kayla, welcome.
Thank you. FYI, this is the first time I've been live ever.
That's right. And so if I asked you to come live 6 months ago or a year ago, would that even have been a possibility for you?
No.
Awesome. So yeah, why don't you share for those people who are watching? Please let us know if you guys who are watching. Let us know where you are, where you're tuning in from, and just give some love, give a shout out, give some love, because this is or tag somebody that you know really needs to hear this, who's been struggling with anxiety, with depression, with panic attacks, who's been trying to medicate themselves back into health. I really want you to get Kayla's story and to see what's possible for you. Kayla, please share. Welcome. Tell us where you're from and how you reached out to me, why you reached out to me in the first place.
So I'm from Ottawa, Ontario in Canada. I first heard about you through actually the chiropractic field because I'm a chiropractic assistant. So at first, when I first heard about you, you were as a chiropractor. I didn't really know much more than that until I started following you on Facebook for chiropractic reasons and realized that you had kind of ventured off into a different aspect. And a lot of the things that you were saying were hitting home for me. A lot of the things I was thinking to myself, like, okay, I struggle with that. I go through that kind of stuff. Like, is this real? Like, could this guy help me? And so I decided to reach out to you kind of as a last ditch effort almost. Like, I felt like I tried all this other hocus pocus and everything else you can imagine and nothing was helping me. So I thought, okay, well, why not give it a try?
What was life like for you when you reached out to me? Tell me what it was like, what you were dealing with. What were your symptoms? What was life like for you, Kayla?
So, I mean, it wasn't really a life at all, to be honest. I was in this constant state of anxiety, always in my brain was just like a hamster wheel, always going like, but what about this and what about that and what's going to happen, and just anxious all the time. Couldn't go anywhere, couldn't do anything, didn't want to travel. Half the time I didn't want to leave my house just because I didn't want to have to be faced with anxiety or with making up excuses as to why I couldn't do things because I was too embarrassed to admit that I had anxiety and that I was suffering with anxiety. Medication, I was on Zoloft to get every day. Felt like I couldn't live without it. If I wasn't on it, I was going to be, debilitated again and just really bad panic attacks where I felt like I was going to die if I went out of my comfort zone. That was the end. That was death. So I just built this little small safety net where I just lived, and I wasn't happy, but I was surviving and I was comfortable. And that.
So you were comfortable. You were comfortable. Why reach out? Why change anything if you were comfortable? What is it that had, like, you're in a comfortable situation? Can you bring the thing up a little bit so we can see? Yeah, they're perfect. So you were comfortable. Why would you do anything? Why would you reach out? Why take action? Because this is the key. Mm-hmm. Whenever I work with and speak to people who have anxiety, they say that they want to change, but then they're comfortable. So what caused you to take action? What was it? That's it.
I was comfortable, but I was miserable. I lived in this little happy place. Well, it wasn't even a happy place. I just lived in this, delusion where I was, if as long as I stayed within these walls, I was okay. Things were going to be okay, and I was comfortable. I wasn't feeling the panic, but I also wasn't feeling anything. Like I wasn't experiencing life. I didn't, want to do. I started to feel like I was a waste. Like I was a waste of a life, of a spirit, of a human being. What was the point in continuing to even bother living if I wasn't even going to do anything with myself?
Yeah.
And I was bringing down everybody around me. I was bringing my boyfriend down. That was what kind of was hurting me even more than how much I was bringing myself down, was how much I was affecting him and the people around me. Because anxiety doesn't just affect you. Like, wake up and realize that it affects everyone around you too. And that's just when I was kind of like, I don't want to be this miserable, like, excuse of a person anymore. And it even, like, now it hurts me to think that I thought that about myself, but I really did.
Yeah. You didn't want to keep bringing everybody around you down with you.
Mm-hmm.
You were suffering, but you were causing the other people around you to not get the greatest version of you. So you reached out to me. We found each other, and it began with the workshop. By the way, those of you who are going to be in Brisbane, Australia, not this weekend, but next weekend, we have a few seats remaining. And we're going to be in Toronto, Canada, October 14th and 15th, teaching the overview method that helps you clear past trauma and get you powerfully aligned with the vision and with tools to be able to handle stress and become more resilient. That's where you began, wasn't it? That was your first big breakthrough. Tell us about that.
Yeah. So the first conversation we had, you had mentioned, doing the program and how it's not for everyone. You have to be ready for it. And you recommended that I do the workshop first. And I was like, okay, and then you're like, it's in Montreal. And I was like, no. I'm not doing it. I'm not going. And you wouldn't give up on me. You pulled every trick in the book I thought I had. You knew, like, you had a way out for me. So you convinced me. I don't know how you did it. To this day, I still think it was magic. And you got me to sign up. And even after I signed up, I thought to myself, okay, I signed up, but that was just to appease him. Like, I'm not going to go. I'm not going to make it there. Like, this is me we're talking about. I'm not going to get to Montreal. And, I fought myself on it. Like, I fought myself. Yeah. Like, I was late. I was late, but it was an amazing...
Huge acknowledgement to Tara, who came with you, picked you up.
Huge.
A huge acknowledgement to Tara, who was one of the participants of the workshop and the program, who I kind of delegated the responsibility to, who detoured from from the 401 to come pick you up in Ottawa and make it. And you almost didn't make it, but you did.
And it honestly, I talked about it for weeks afterward. It was the best experience of my life. And not even just the fact that I made it to Montreal, but learning what I learned from you and knowing, what I know now, that was what planted the seed to really, really want to make a change in my life and to really want to take this work seriously.
So you came to the workshop, and then a couple months later, you reached out and you said, all right, I'm ready to jump into the Powerfully Aligned program.
Yes.
And so take us from that moment, that scary moment where you finally made a road trip for the first time. You came back home. You felt really, wow, okay, there's potential here. I know that this is the path. If I truly want to heal, the medications, the hocus pocus, and all the crystals and the hypnosis and all the other stuff that you try that hopefully you get a result with, but it doesn't work. Mm-hmm. What was different about what we did compared to what everything else that you've tried? What was different, and why do you think that it worked, and what were the results that you've noticed?
One of the really big differences was actually right before I left to go to Montreal when I called you on the phone panicking and you said, give yourself permission to feel it. You're the first person in my life that ever told me it was okay to feel these feelings. And that was when I was like, okay, this is really different. And when I actually made it to Montreal and I made it home and I felt like almost like I was in a different body for a couple weeks after. And I was just like, something's really changed inside me and I want to pursue it. I want to keep going. But being an anxious person, I had those doubts in the back of my mind. That's why it took me a few months to finally just surrender
Commit.
myself, to just commit to it and do whatever I had to do to commit to making it happen. Because all those excuses that were coming up, at first I was listening to them, and then it got to a point where I was like, no, this is what I want. This is what I'm going to do, no matter what it takes, because deserve I deserve it. I'm worth it.
Yeah. So you came in, we jumped in, damn straight you deserve it and you're worth it. You came in, you jumped in, and what did you experience as being part of this program? What was different about this entire experience over the past 90 days that you've really been chipping away at? What happens there? What did you do? Take us through, like, what goes on in the program?
For the first time, I actually kind of delved into myself. Instead of running from myself and running from my feelings, I actually sat with myself for a bit and started to remember who I am and learn who I am and know that it's okay to feel these feelings and that I, want to be a higher version of myself. I want to break through these things. And sure, it might be scary sometimes, but I'm actually learning to have a new relationship with fear. And I'm learning to love that there's this duality in life, and I can apply all of these things that you teach us, not just to myself and anxiety, but to the rest of my life too. And I just see it flourishing.
Oh, cutting off a little bit here. Can you hear me?
I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Can you hear me, Kayla?
Yes.
Yeah, we're just having a little bit of a tech issue here. I don't know if it's us or you. I'm not sure if it's us or you. Can you hear me now, hun?
Yeah, can you hear me?
So we are still live, and you can tell it's live. We have a bit of a tech issue going on, and Kayla was sharing with us about, oh, she's back.
Am I back?
You're back.
Okay, good. Sorry, my internet is so bad right now.
No worries, no worries. Where you were saying you're getting to know the feelings, stepping into them. What was your experience like going into the program?
How so? Like throughout the whole thing, or just kind of in the beginning?
Throughout the whole, you started to face the feelings and your past, and what is it that we did through this program that you can kind of see that this has been the thing that has changed everything? What's different about that?
Because you don't treat it like a disease that you have to get a cure from. It's realistic in the fact that there's always going to be challenges in your life, and you teach how to make it through those challenges, how to deal with the breakdowns when they happen and bring them into breakthroughs. What's been different for me is that I haven't numbed myself to these feelings or had this delusion that I'm sick and it's not my fault. I'm starting to take responsibility for myself now, and it wasn't always easy, but it was so worth it. And having this amazing community that you can lean on, that people who are trying to get better, or the coaches who, even as coaches, they still have stuff to work on, so they understand where you're coming from. And they're just there to genuinely love you and push you, and they want to see you become this highest version of yourself. And like, never could I ever show anybody the gratitude that I feel for you, Nima, for starting this program in the first place and making it something that's so different and so real. And then the coaches that you have, like George and Amanda and Eilena, they they really care and put their heart into it, and you can feel it. And having somebody who's got your back, who's been through it and who knows what you're going through, it makes a difference. And somebody who tells you that you're not diseased and you're not sick, that you're normal and you're just dealing with things in a different way and learning to deal with it differently, makes a difference. That was the difference for me, is being told that you're normal and you're okay, and it's okay to feel this.
Yeah. Well, it's one of those situations. Every time I'm with a client and we go through the program, I have a call. We ask them to schedule kind of like a futures, a departure call. And it's always emotional for me because, it is truly a family kind of environment. It's a community that we've created. The coaches, Amanda and Eileen and George and Alex and Jen, who are part of the tech team as well. And just everybody who participates, this is our soul work. We're here because we truly love what we do. And when somebody graduates from the program, it's kind of like a child leaving them off to go to college. I cry every time, man. It's pathetic.
No, it's not pathetic. If I'm not pathetic, you're not.
I know. I'm a bit of a wuss. So it's just an incredible experience to be able to see the transformation. Can you share how you're different now? What's different now with your life? What have you been able to do that's what have others noticed? What are you doing now compared to where you were 1 year ago? What have you noticed?
I go for walks all the time now, which I used to want to do but never did, just because I didn't like to be alone. So I do that a lot more. People have noticed that I'm a lot more positive. I handle stress a lot better. Sorry, I feel like I'm gonna hiccup. So I handle stress a lot better. Things don't get to me the way they used to. I actually have started to embrace my fear and like start to do things a little bit here and there that scare me. I'm more open. I'm more fun again. Also, a year ago today, I had actually considered upping my dose of medication because I just felt like I couldn't handle it anymore. I couldn't do it on my own. And then it hit me when you had asked me where were you a year ago on our earlier conversation, is that just a month or two ago, I actually lowered my dose of medication. So the difference is from a year ago to wanting to up it to now actually cutting it in half, it's the volume. And that alone, just that one thing alone on top of all the other things that have changed is what makes this worth it. Because for me, I felt like I was never going to get off of medication, that was going to be the rest of my life. Thank you, Grace.
Grace.
Yeah.
Grace has something funny to say.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
It's pretty amazing. It is pretty amazing. Grace being another one of the participants in our Powerfully Aligned program. It truly is like a family, isn't it? It's where you can share, where you're having a breakthrough, any insight that you have that's going to be useful to the rest of the family, the community. It's such a special way to participate and contribute to humankind. And the fact that you can make the adjustment above Atlas and see such a profound effect on people's lives. And the best part about this kind of thing is it's not just you that got impacted, is it?
No.
What are you noticing happening just because you've taken on the work? What are you noticing happening?
I've noticed, my sister and one of my really good friends, like they've told me how I've helped them see situations differently. I've helped them unlock some stuff as well. With my boyfriend, he's told me that I help him on a day-to-day basis with the way he feels and his positivity and how he's trying to change his view and change the way he sees the world and be happier with who he is now. And it's amazing to know that the changes I've made can impact others too, especially those that I really love and care about. People who I thought, you know, a year ago I was bringing down and I was a burden on, I'm now helping them. Pretty big 180.
Completely. And so, yeah, it's not just like what you said at the beginning. Your anxiety is just not just about you.
Mm-hmm.
Who in your life and in your world is not doing their best because you're not at your best? And the answer to that is your kids, your partner, your spouse, your family, your parents. I know the feeling, you know, they get you know, you get to the point where you don't have the best of you. You isolate, you constantly compare yourself to others. And what's available on the other side of that is power, is your voice. I mean, just look at how, I just look at how you're sitting and you're so comfortable and you're sharing your story for the very first time on Facebook Live, and it ain't no thing to you. It's just no problem, you know? So
yeah,
it speaks volumes that you just are in a very present place and you're very centered and you're able to speak, you know? We look at nonverbal communication. 16 years as a chiropractor, I don't just listen to what you say. I watch your body language and everything, and it speaks volumes. And your way of being right now, Kayla, is speaking volumes. And so if you're listening, if you know, what would you have to say to somebody who has been struggling with anxiety, with panic attacks? What would you say to them if they're on the fence and they're taking medications and they're afraid to make that jump? They know that there's stuff happening, but they're just afraid because maybe later, maybe someday they're going to get around to it another time, or they'll think about it. What would you have to say to them?
I implore you to please, like, reach out to Nima. Even, you know, just a simple message, even if you just want to go to the overview and see what it's like, learn a little bit more, like, please. I was so scared. Like, I was terrified. And even, you know, sometimes now when I feel anxiety, I get a little scared, but I remind myself that it's through the fear that you're going to make these changes. It's like I imagine myself as a butterfly in a cocoon, and I have to break through before I can blossom and grow. And you're worth it. No matter what you feel or what you think, you are worth it. And it'll be the best thing that you ever do, even if it seems scary right now. Believe me, I could think of every excuse in the book. I'm so used to it. But just put those aside and just give it a chance. Just try.
Kayla, I got to tell you, I love you. I want to acknowledge you for playing a huge game. I also want to acknowledge Tara, your buddy who kind of was there in the earlier phases, which goes to show all of us is that it takes a village. For us to try to do things alone is a big mistake when we have a whole community of people who really want to be there, who want to be of service because it helps us to serve. And there's a give and receive and a fair exchange going on. And so it's just so amazing to have you be part of our family. And we look forward to seeing you in Toronto, which is your next. It was the possibility we've created. Yeah, was for her to make that 4-hour drive from Ottawa to Toronto. 6 months ago, 1 year ago, that was not possible. And so for you to take this on and to make it possible, I wanted to acknowledge you and give you a big hug in a few weeks. And for those of you who are listening in or watching and are on the fence or just wanted to know, just send me a private message if this resonates with you. And I would love to get in touch and see what's not working in your life because of your fear, what past stories are not allowing you to live the greatest version of you. And if you're committed to actually becoming like Kayla and doing the necessary work and getting uncomfortable and becoming more comfortable on the other side and looking back 6 months and going, wow, I'm quite proud of my progress. And there's nothing quite like that feeling of feeling fulfilled with who you are.
It's the best.
Thank you so much, Kayla. And I'm so grateful that you jumped on with us and shared your story with everybody. Thank you.
Thank you for having
See you soon.
Yes.
All right, guys. Send me a private message. Join the Art of Powerful Alignment and ask any questions, and I'm happy to respond with a video. reach out if you have any questions. I'm here for you, and I'll see you at the next perfect time.